Hello, folks. It's me. I'm Biggy, and I am back. And I've created perhaps the most masochistic way of playing retro Yu-Gi-Oh ever, and it is a randomizer Nuzlocke. And I'm just gonna skip the introduction here, so that we can go ahead and put this in the background. Well, yeah. A hardcore randomizer Nuzlocke. This video will both act as a primer on how to set it all up, as well as doing a test playthrough as a general guide. And I've labeled all the chapters, so if you're already familiar with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists of the Rose, and you want to skip forward to all the rules and the setup and stuff, feel free to do so. And for the rest of you, I'm going to provide a little context. So, it's the early 2000s, and it's the wild, wild west of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. Konami was more concerned with printing collectibles, and the rules of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game were, how should I say this, clumsily put together as a way to represent whatever craziness the manga was depicting into something coherent, I guess. So when they branched out into video games, developers had to figure out how to balance the game or make the game fun with whatever they had. So different games handled this differently, and I think was it Dual Stories for the Game Boy Color? They were toying around with the idea of summoning power and tributes. I think that was the first game to do that. And Forbidden Memories for PS1 was experimenting with things like unique fusions and stuff. Anyways, simply put, the franchise was still toying around with the idea of resource management. So they were trying to say, okay, big monsters need more resource to play. In 2001 in Japan, and later in 2003 worldwide, this game came out for the PS2. It's called Duelists of the Roses. It pushed boundaries further by having duels take place not on a normal field, like other Yu-Gi-Oh! Card games, but it is dueled on a 7x7 chessboard, pardon me. And you had a deck leader not only that not only represents you, and can also move around the board, and you could summon monsters in adjacent tiles and have him act as a target for direct LP damage. That means that Duels of the Rose sits perfectly between a traditional card game and a tactical game like Final Fantasy Tactics. So this game also has fun modifiers like terrain effects and things that change its stats and movement. And the deck leaders also has things like abilities that you gain after ranking them up. So in other words, proper planning, good positioning can give you a win even with weaker monsters, and a single mistake could be enough to cost you the game. So I was obsessed with this game back in the day, had a blast figuring out cool decks and strategies and archetypes and stuff. So when I found out that the game still had plenty of players to this day, I was excited to jump back in. And I started replaying this on Valentine's Day this year, and it had looking at all the, how do I say this, cultured assets that the game had, and thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, the trip down memory lane, that is. And I began to wonder, what if the game was harder and had bigger stakes and more RNG? So I began to set some self-imposed challenges, streaming some of my progress. So if you want to support my channel, feel free to follow the link in the description to my VODs of all my previous runs, and subscribe to get notified for whenever I go live. If any of you feel like being quite generous, check out the membership program where you get some cool perks like emojis, getting turned into a Pokemon, and getting to watch this kind of video, no matter how rare it is, beforehand, before anyone else. And yeah, with that self-promotion on the side, we're going to up the ante further, but not just playing this on a regular copy of Duelists of the Rose. So no, right now we're playing on Redux 2, which is a mod patch by Clovis. The current public repo lists Redux 2 as the latest release on December 31st, 2024. So it's been a year and a bit. All cards are obtainable. Ranking up is faster. and it adds really cool features like ritual fusions coming from hand. So yeah, you don't need to. Yeah, there's a bunch of really good quality of life stuff that I'll explain a little bit later. And the duel themselves are different, and it becomes a much harder, more tailored experience, which is perfect for a challenge run. But okay, let's talk about the rules though. You know the rules, and so do I. Rule number 1, it's going to be singleton, so only one copy of each card is allowed in the deck. Normally this would make a run very inconsistent, except for one aspect of this game that makes it possible. Fusions. Unlike the physical card game, you can fuse cards directly in hand without using polymerization. And many fusions in Duels of the Roses are based on creature types and attack thresholds instead of the strict named fusion materials like in the card game. So, as long as the conditions are met, you can fairly consistently fuse into larger creatures. But singleton alone will not make it sufficient as a challenge without the second rule, which is no passwords. Duels of the Rose lets you press R3 and enter passwords to obtain a single copy of specific cards, as long as they're on a list without any real restrictions. So, yep, passwords are banned. Of course, there also needs to be a limitation on how to acquire cards. Rule number 3 will mean that there are limits to amount of battles. I'm going to limit the maximum number of battles to 3 per opponent. This includes the deck masters in the custom duels, like over here. And finally, this couldn't be a Nuzlocke without the consequences of losing, which means whenever the you lose screen pops up, your deck leader is retired. You can never use him again, and there's even secondary deck slots that you could use as a memorial. So I also added an extra caveat. If the turn timer reaches 0, it also counts as a loss, even though the you win screen pops up, because this is to prevent a stalemate situation that happens when the AI effectively passes the game with you and you have more life points than they do. Actually, you could win them by timing out, which is a little unfair. So I've removed that. So as soon as the timer reaches 0, you also lose. But a variant of this is hardcore, which is if the run itself is dead, it must be restarted as soon as any losses happen. And yeah, I've been trying that for the past month and realized that it was too hard, and it's not so fun to restart over and over just by a simple mistake. So yeah, if you're as masochistic as I was, go ahead and try the hardcore variant. But of course, for this particular run, we're going to go with the normal Nuzlocke run rules. All links will be in the descriptions, and the settings below are the exact rule set and randomizer setup I'm using for these runs. So feel free to tweak these things in the future to your liking. But I'm going to keep a paste bin up of the rules that I'm setting up, and suggestions are always welcome. So without further ado, let's set up the mod and the randomizer. It's a bit of an involved process, so sit tight. Well, first off, you need an ISO backup of your own copy of the North American version, or the NTSC version of this game, and you patch it with Redux 2 using Delta Patcher. The instructions on how to do so will be in the linked page, so go ahead and do that. But I will not be able to provide a ISO link for obvious reasons. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the game and hopefully boot up the modding tool correctly. The modding tool link is also in the description, and we have to be extra careful about modding tools and emulators, because they'll both use the .NET 8 framework. So sometimes booting up the modding tool like so will crash either the modding tool or the emulator. Well, here's the modding tool. Let's go ahead and open the ISO first of all, and make sure that this is backed up, because the ISO is modded every single time you load it. Alrighty then folks, we are back, and as you can see here, this is the correct ISO. It says modded ISO, meaning that we have loaded a patched Redux 2 version rather than the vanilla version. And with this modded ISO thing popped up, as well as all the stats here being correct, first thing we actually need to do is head to the patches tab. This actually changes some of the game mechanics. Let's actually start off by changing the max limit number of cards per deck. And by clicking this, you could actually have a total of 9 cards per deck if you so wish, but no, we're going to set this to 1. The reason being is that whenever you activate the randomizer, sometimes it generates duplicate cards. This is the one way of making sure it doesn't actually get some duplicates in the deck, but this doesn't actually include the deck leader, so sometimes the deck leader is duplicated against your deck, but that's actually pretty rare as well, and it doesn't matter in the long run. But if we head to the randomizer, these are the settings that are going to be of choice here. I've preloaded these and set these ahead of time, and you could actually, after you're done, export the randomizer settings out so that you'll be able to use this every single time. Every time you lose and want to start over, for example. First option is randomized starting decks, and we go for a balanced deck. For my runs, usually I think 28 monsters with 3 spells, 3 traps, 3 power-ups, and 3 rituals gives us the most variety. Rituals, of course, now fuse into certain monsters to actually fuse. Yeah, you could fuse it in hand in the Redux mod. Having 28 monsters is probably best in the case of having a most variety of monsters to fuse and having variety of fusions to start off with. And the next setup is making sure that we don't have anything above 2800 attack in the starting decks. That's just to prevent us getting things like blue eyes. I've also set it up so that 72 is the max deck cost. This also prevents you getting anything rarer than, say, a carrot idol. Next is we start randomizing card attack and defense. This is where most of the variance comes in and where most of the fun is. We randomize the attacks and defense in range, so it could either go 450 more than its starting value or 450 less than its starting value. And this is where most of the variance comes in, and it's going to be where the most fun is. And if you spot, for example, certain fusions getting stronger, then it becomes more viable. Certain fusions getting weaker becomes less viable, etc. And being on the range of 450 is, I think, it's a sweet spot. It doesn't break the game so much that, for example, you fuse into something with 3000 in attack and just trivialize the game. Or the other scenario, of course, is getting some really unlucky rolls and your opponent's fusions are broken and the game becomes unwinnable. This keeps things somewhat consistent while making things somewhat fun. Next up is randomizing card starting power and normalizing SP. Again, these are all just balancing options. Next is using recommended randomizer EXP values. This is just so that we don't spend too much time leveling stuff, which is going to be the bulk of the start on the early game, because we'll need to level for different commander options. Last but not least, before that is an option to randomize leader abilities. This is very fun, but I recommend only doing this after you beat the game at least once, and this will bring a lot of variance, and this is fun for subsequent playthroughs, not the first one. All right, with this, what we're going to do is click randomize, and we go boop after say randomize successful, and you could copy the seed here as well. And before we actually save, instead of just going to file and save here and save all strings, before we actually save, we need to make 2 more adjustments, and these are important. First off, you need to uncheck remove card limit, because after we're done using this to generate our starter decks, if you kept this option in, the AI having 12 cards or so in the decks because they can't have duplicates, and sometimes they just don't draw hands. Yeah, so this is the most important. Uncheck this, and next up is set this back to no requirement post game. And I know in the randomizer it says that secondary deck cost will be meaningless with the randomizer. This only really applies to vanilla ISO, where you can't actually access the deck masters. But yeah, before we continue, we need to give a shout out to Bats Pub. He showed up on one of my streams randomly, and I was super excited because he's the one who came up with this mod. So you can see Bat Pub's made this. Yep, so shout outs to Bats Pub. Thank you for creating this wonderful bit of software. I just wanted to showcase a couple more of the stuff that he's added. For example, we could go with name calculator. If you want to go completely blind and go in straight from here, you can. But I'm just going to open up and type my name here. The name calculator will just say which starter decks you're going to get, and it will show you all of the cards within the deck to help you choose your starting deck, perhaps. And if you go to our second thing, which is the fusion editor, possible fusions from deck, go to starter deck number 9, for example, that we have further, and go to fusion results. You can see, look at this. You could fuse Bean Soldiers, Chimera, Cyber Soldier. We have a Dark Elf fusion randomly here. This is so that you know what fusions are available in the deck. As you can see, look at all those. I might return here after we look at all the starting decks we can actually get, and we'll see you inside the game. Alrighty, we're back, and let's go ahead and click new game right here. And if you are correctly loading this, you will see the Japanese title screen is better. And yeah, you should actually go straight into the game, like so, instead of just booting into a long-winded story here. So I'm gonna write my name, which is Biggy. I'm Biggy. Yep, that's the wrong Y. That's the yen sign. Wait, which button? This one. Okay. Right, let's have a look at our starter decks. And you could see that you will have the main creature type, monster type here, as well as the main races over here, main attributes over here, and the average summoning level. So you could actually make a decision from here. We have another spellcaster based one with a lot of these, and we have a fairy witch, fiend based one. We have fiends and beasts. Okay, so we have fairy, beast. In my experience, my favorite fusion combinations usually is Chimera, and Chimera is beast and fiends, and having a few fiends here and a few beasts here with spellcasters and Aquans, I think that's probably my favorite combination. As you can see here, yeah, fairies might be pretty strong as early game as well, but we don't know. Yeah, out of all these, I think I like this combination of creatures most. And there are a couple of very valuable strategies that we could start off with, but we'll figure that out after we enter here. Right, and it forces you to side with the Orcus, but that's going to be it. Alright, let's see. Okay, our deck cost is actually quite low. We're at 897. And this is 957. And there are times, I'll let you know now, there will be times when their deck cost is too high. If your deck cost is too high versus this, there are ways of going about it this. And let's just assume that we've randomized a deck cost that's actually too high, and we can't get started fighting Taya at all. So in that the case, then what you need to do is you need to press start, go to deck, go to save. We'll save like so, and we'll need to exit. So to exit, you press select, go to title screen like so, and head straight to custom duel. Let's assume that this is a necessary step, so we'll go ahead and do that. All right, let's go ahead and go to build deck and have a look at our deck list. This will help us decide on what strategies we have. Well, first off, we got Fairy Witch that we could... Oh, okay. So here's, like I said, this is what happens sometimes when there's a card in the deck leader and the card you get is duplicated, and you will see that it says 2 copies here. So already this is an illegal deck, but we'll fix this as soon as we get some more cards. But okay, let's have a look at our general setting, general creatures here. Oh my! Okay, we randomized into a Cosmo Queen. I swear. Wait. Okay, let me just sort by deck cost to see which broken cards there are in the deck. Yep, we've randomized into a Cosmo Queen. Oh my. Right. That is... that is going to be unfair on the AI. Oh yeah, let's just have a look here. Another real cool aspect of this game. Full on attack animations and card designs that you could actually show and see here. You could even zoom in if you so... Wait, can you zoom in? Okay, you can zoom out, not in. Okay, but yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, but yeah, Cosmo Queen is usually only summonable by ritual monsters. Yeah, but as you can see, we have Cosmo Queen, we have Kaze Jin, Kairu Shin, Kaze Jin, Eternal Rest, which is relatively useless. This is to destroy all zombies. Not useful until the second half. We randomized into a Chakra. This is another fusion monster. Oh my. Cosmo Queen's also at 2550. That's less than usual? I think that's less than usual though. Okay. I think Chakra's also a little nerfed. Okay. But still, I think Cosmo Queen's still broken to a certain degree. Because she does transform all surrounding space into dark... Yeah. We'll talk about all these things later. Royal Guard is a machine. Kairu Shin is pretty broken. Wait, Kairu Shin's at 2200. As you can see, usually this guy's at 1800. But yeah, we'll have to be on the lookout for Sea Serpents. Sea Serpents could also be a viable strategy here. We also have the Emperor of the Land and Sea as a reptile. Reptiles usually aren't that good. Oh, we have an Immortal. That's also quite rare. As you can see, okay, a lot of Fiends. Yeah, because that's our thing. So we might go with Fiends. We have a rare fish, which is fine. Dark Rabbit. Bat Reactions to Simochi is pretty cool as well. This is good for a lot of the enemy decks, right? Because it prevents healing. Yeah. Permanent trap triggers against LP recovery. From opponent's LP. So we could still heal, but they can't. Goblin Fan. Goblin Fan's pretty good. Permanent trap that triggers against opponent direct damage. But there's a bunch of really cool combinations here. Actually, let me demonstrate something. I'll pause this. I'll need to make sure that I actually pause it, because this might freeze up if I open it up incorrectly. Yep. Let's go ahead and open the ISO now. I'll need to squint my eyes to not spoil too much. Okay, fusion. Let's go with possible fusions from deck. There we go. And which deck did we pick? We picked Fairy Witch. Yeah, there we go. Let's go ahead and look at fusion results. Chimeras. And then we have a Dark Elf here. Dark Witch. Even though she's light elemental. I don't know why they chose that name for her, but old naming conventions. We have a Magical Ghost. Some Marine Beasts. So the good fusions are Mystical Elf. So this is Winged Elf and Unhappy Maiden. Mystical Sand, which is Water Gull versus the thing in the mud. Oh dear. And we have Neko Gal, which is any lady, Water Girl, Dark Rabbit, plus either Miles Radiant or the Rabbit. The Chimera is what is pretty good. These are the ones we want. So Chimera is based on, we only have one Chimera fusion, which is Dark Rabbit versus any of these fiends. We have to investigate all of these fusions to see which one's broken or not broke, which one's working. Well, we do have a Brachyradius fusion. What is the Brachyradius fusion? The thing in the mud versus the Emperor. Okay. We might need to investigate that as well, because this guy's the strongest dinosaur. We'll have to see how big the dinosaur is. And we also have a Bolt escargot that could fuse upwards. All right, so that's the general gist of our deck. And like I said, we wanted to see what our deck could fuse into, and we want to investigate fusions. And this is the first thing we probably want to do, which is go ahead and fight one of the deck masters. As we said before, we only have battle with 3 battles with each of the deck masters. There's Deck Master S, T, I, and K, but we're going to talk about Deck Master S. Deck Master S is the safest deck master to fight against because of his low deck cost. And his deck is basically filled with smaller fusion ingredients with low deck costs. So we're going to fight him a couple of times, find some fusion ingredients, and then hopefully we'll see. I'll just demonstrate what battles are like, as well as what we want to do for most of these battles. Right, let's go ahead and try to get ready. I'm going to press start and go straight into a default map here. Wait, yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it a rule that you can't use anything other than the default map and default settings. I think that's going to be the case as well. And as you can see, he's just going to cycle through a bunch of his cards. Wow. Okay. Whoa! Okay, so that is pretty cool. That is quite a rare thing to actually see here. And as you can see, we have a bunch of board spaces, and now we have to figure out what he actually fused. And there's a way to do that, which is going to look at his graveyard. What we do know that he fused into a WoW Warrior. WoW. Which is, I think WoW Warrior is fish, yeah. Okay, so these two fused. So Masked Clown and White Dolphin into a WoW Warrior. And the WoW Warrior fused with Little Chimera into a Tatsunuko Hikohosto Kosikitan Tan. Friggin' horse. Horsefish. Yep. This is actually really, really good for us, because what happened is with all these fusion ingredients in the graveyard, we now know that well, these things will show up as items we could actually get. This, okay, so we have this and the Unhappy Maiden. So what we are face to face with now is a Neko Gal number 2. And let's see if we could actually fuse anything into a Neko Gal number 2. Interesting. Out of all this, it's going to be a Beast King of the Swamp. Beast King of the Swamp will have the ability to, say, destroy its enemies it engages in battle with. So we're going to put the Beast King in the Swamp down and put it in defense position. We're going to try to lure the Neko Gal to attack us. Which could happen. And let's see what they do now. They're going to move forward. Let's actually look over here. Oh, we drew a chakra. So we might want to just wait until we could summon the chakra. We have a summoning power over here that regenerates by 3 each turn. Chakra right now has a total of 6 summoning power, so we can't summon him yet this turn. And we could summon these, but then by using the summoning power for these guys, they will... Yeah, we're going to lose out on the summoning power for the next turn. So, what's the best option here? The best option is we either place a ritual card or a spell card in the back here and wait. This way we could regenerate some summoning power from 4. Okay, now we know that Neko Gal is... Oh, I forgot to turn on the animations. Pardon me. And if you wonder what happened there, the beast, we have a flip ability from the Beast King that destroys opponent's monsters. That's the safest option there. But okay, let's actually turn on the animations. We don't know what these guys are, but definitely we'll try to get the Neko Gal in our list of cards that we want to get us a reward. Okay, so we have... Wow. Kazijin. Wow, looking attractive there, sir. We're going to summon the Kazijin, so we're going to move forward. Place Kazijin. Move Kazijin forward. And yeah, this is probably the best case scenario that we can actually get right now. Because our creatures are stronger. We've got a bunch of fusions. And I believe that they don't have any traps. Right, let's go ahead and have a look at what cards we drew here. Well, we have got a couple of fiends. Again, there's not a lot we could do here, so we'll have to wait. And we'll just cycle through a insect imitation power up here. This card is relatively useless, but it could transform any monster with egg in its name into another monster. And I do believe we have a random wing egg elf somewhere. So let's actually just put this over here in the back while we wait until we draw into some better monsters. Let's try moving in like so. Oh, Curse Breaker. Curse Breaker is a really good card to get as well. So we're pretty happy about this. And yeah, let's keep going. Let's look over here. Oh, I said we wanted Kairyu-Shin to level up, don't we? Okay, let's look at Kairyu-Shin. What is Kairyu-Shin? Kairyu-Shin is a sea serpent that says, all spaces within one range of one space are transformed to sea terrain with this monster split face up. Alright, so let's put down the Kairyu-Shin. Do we want to cycle through someone else at all? I think we could cycle through this, kick away the Fiend card over here. Kairyu-Shin's also a 6 star now, which is pretty cool. And that makes Kairyu-Shin a very viable deck commander. And so this was what happens if you use non-compatible cards. It's just going to kick it out like so. Yeah. I'm going to flip this guy face up, move this way. And yeah, let's see some battle animations. Oh no, it's Mio Tokyo. Mio Toko? Neo Tokyo? Is that an Akira reference? I don't know, but yep. Yeah, this is really cool. There are battle animations everywhere in this game. for every single creature that's in Yu-Gi-Oh! Up until then. All about, was it 800-ish of them? Back when Konami put in some effort. I mean, I could go on a rant over and over about how Konami does its IP dirty sometimes. I'm not gonna move you here. I'm gonna move you over here, actually. The reason why I'm not moving my character here is that the AI can actually summon something and then direct attack me. This is just something you need to be kind of aware of at all times. The curse could just be back here, I guess. And let's see what the Kazijin could do. Whether if we want to move forward or want to block, I'm just gonna move forward with a Kazijin. And most likely it's going to be the Ancient Brain getting mauled over here. Okay. And if you're wondering why I cycled through cards from my hand earlier, it's just for me to prevent, Final Flame. You know, direct damage. But it's just for me to prevent, this for me to be able to draw more, because every single turn you draw up to 5 anyways. Fortress Whale. That's interesting. And usually the Fortress Whale's Oath says sacrifice 2 fish monsters and a mech bass to summon the Fortress Whale. But we don't need to do that in this version anymore. We could just find a mech bass and find this card and just fuse them together. Okay, so I'm just... Actually, let's move the Curse of the Millennium Shield closer. I'm gonna move my character up like so. I'm gonna face up my Kazejin for reasons that I'll explain why later. And I'm gonna go 1 and 2 and bonk directly against the Deckmaster. Ancient Brain. Direct damage. And yeah, you could do a direct... You could just bypass a bunch of the enemy's creatures and do direct damage if you position yourself well. That's one of the cool things about this game. And if my opponent's Deckmaster is smart, he could actually summon something here and directly damage here too. Directly damage me from here as well. Right, with this, let's have a look at possible fusions. Fiend and Spellcaster. I can't remember if this actually fuse or not. Yeah. I don't have a Fortress Well ingredient, so we could actually cycle through it because it doesn't cost us anything. But yeah, we could always do this, for example. And yes, these don't fuse. And I'm just going to keep this girl face down in defense. And the AI is just going to move like so. Okay. I'm just going to demonstrate a couple of the different ways to win. Like immediately right now, I could just move up and just bonk like this and we win. Because of the life points damage. I could do this and bonk into this guy. The other way of winning is surrounding, which is basically a checkmate. The Ancient Brain here has summoning areas adjacent to it, like so. Like if you look at our character, we have a summoning area over here. Like one around us. So if all spaces over here around us are occupied, that means that we can't even play any more cards. So automatically, if we decide to surround this guy here with all of our creatures, then it is automatically a victory for us. So I could put the Kazejin closer. We could put the Kairyu-shin over here and just bonk for the win, if I so wish. But there's no need to do that. But if I put this guy and the Unhappy Maiden over here, that'll automatically let us win next turn, regardless. But is there a reason for us not to win immediately? There is, and I'll explain this as I keep playing. Yep. And let's go over here. Let's try to get some summonings down. Okay, so let's put you like so. Trap is good. And I'll probably demonstrate how the traps work. So we open up Unhappy Maiden like so. So this is a limited range trap. Limited range means that disposable trap that spellbinds activated enemy cards for 1 turn, reduces its strength. And sometimes the AI will say, oh, look at this little creature, I'm gonna attack it. And a trap like this works on its own tile as well as the adjacent tiles in its limited range. So if there's anything that happens around these tiles, it'll do that. Okay. Right? Okay, it's just gonna tap. Okay. And now, we'll actually wait here. If the AI does move into attack with another creature over here, it's going to be a bad time for him. But another thing that we're going to do is we're going to, cycle through more cards. Eternal Rest we don't need. This guy we don't need. And we want the Milus Radiant. Okay. So let's cycle through these cards. And now I'm going to move the Milus Radiant onto the Unhappy Maiden. This is another way we could use fusions. But yeah, this is pretty cool that Nekogal is one of our fusion choices. Relatively cool. Oh, that's the wrong button. Yeah, Nekogal is a fusion stuff. Okay. And it does maybe looking like the Nekogal is going to be one of the cards are candidates for a really good deck leader as well. I'm going to move my insect limitation up just in case, as well as the curse of the Millennium Shield. I'm going to leave the curse of the Millennium Shield here. I'm not going to use it at all. So let's pass. Okay. The AI is just trying its best to survive the situation. Okay. With that, we're going to actually make the AI tap his creature. No, actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to move the insect limitation here and pop my creature here. And that's because I know how the AI thinks here. I'm going to open you up like so. And then keep this guy down here. What happens in this situation is that the AI is going to think, what the AI does is that their usual choice is, I'm going to move next to the deck leader if I can. But if I can't, what's around me? Oh, there's this really strong creature. So let's not have that creature. We have to be careful of that creature. And so this is either they're going to attack here, or which they can't, or they're going to attack here because it's face down. Yep, I'll just demonstrate. Yep, most likely, yeah, there we go. The AI is just going to tap because it sees a stronger creature here. So let's get Chakran, and deal with the Melting Red Shadow. Melt the Melting Red Shadow, please. Also, here's another little cool tidbit about the mod. The Redux mod uses the original Japanese sprite art, so all the cards has been, how should I say this, restored to their former glory. So, for example, this little guy now shows his butt. So hello, Big Butt. Used to have pants in the non-Japanese version. And the Neko gal here also has a much more revealing line here. You can see that she doesn't actually, now she's not wearing any safety shorts anymore. So if you're, if you appreciate culture, then these are really cool options. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cycle through all of our creature cards and see what other things we could play. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yep. Pause all these spells that are able to play for free. And then I'm going to split the Bolt as Cargo face up. And we're going to pass. You know what this guy reminds me of? Oh, okay, this is interesting. We have a Wing Egg Elf fusion, or if we so wish. But yeah, we could fuse the Wing Egg Elf and the Fairy Witch, I think, into a Dark Elf. And we have a Giant Scorpion, another Dark Spellcaster, Puppet Ritual, which is useless for us. So we're gonna cycle through, and we're gonna put the Wing Egg Elf down. Is this an insect? Yeah. We're gonna put the Wing Egg Elf down. And we're gonna go for a little bit of a roulette. Let's have some fun. Eggy roulette. What would you give us? An Ancient Elf. Okay. Ancient Elf ain't too bad. But yeah, that was just a bit of fun. It's still an elf, so it could still work with elf as fusions. I think we're gonna try to get the Cosmo Queen leveled up as well. Maybe, maybe not. But out of all this, I prefer Dark Elf. Well, Dark Elf is at 21, so she's a little bit... 2100, so she's a little bit stronger than her usual 2000 attack counterpart. She's also at... Oh, she's also been upgraded to 5-star, so... Yeah, a Dark Elf, certainly a viable candidate for deck leader. Right. I'm just going to summon and go through more of our cards. Oh wait, that's the wrong button. Just so that we have... Okay, we have 13 cards left. And as you can see, if we decided to summon more creatures, that's going to not be very good for us. Let's cycle through all the dinosaurs of these cards. Electromagnetic Bagworm is not something we want to use as a deck leader. And so we're going to cycle through all of this. Keep bad reaction over here. Yep, so you could only have a maximum of 5 creatures at a time. And we already have 5 creatures face up. And let's have a look at more creatures here. Okay. We have Homozosaurus and the Emperor of the Land and Sea. Oh, actually, let me just cycle through and adjust the Aqua Girl here. Because, yep, as soon as you place another creature, it's just going to dissipate. We're just actually looking through at how big some of these creatures are right now. I don't think we need to summon anything from you guys anymore. I'm being very, very conservative. Usually we could... I just want to see if we draw our Earthen one. Yeah, there we go. So we draw our Earthen dude. We could get a Emperor and Thing in the Mud into a Brachiosaurus. We'll just summon him first. Hi, Brachiosaurus. 2050. Okay. Now we know that he's not worth fusing. Looking through. We have more fiends. We have Morphin as a potential fiend leader. But again, let's just cycle through. 3 more cards. I can't remember if we have more beasts in the deck. Yes, we do. So we have an Oscillo Hero and Tomozosaur. These two fuse into Sword Arm Dragon. And also these two will fuse into Chimera. This is also just so that we can investigate. Or okay, the Sword Arm is not good. The Chimera is also is he also good or not? Okay. Chimera at 2150, so just the same. Still the strong fusion nonetheless. And then Sword Arm here. 1500, yeah. This guy's been demoted by 200 attack as well. So, dinosaurs, not viable. Beasts, maybe. And have we run out of cards? Yeah, we ran out of cards. And the question now is, do we or do we not level up the Dark Elf versus the Cosmo Queen? I think we'll try to level up the Cosmo Queen if we can. Alright, here's another thing. One last thing in this battle for me to demonstrate. Okay, we're going to flip Cosmo Queen's face up. As you can see here, the terrain right now will, she will flip up and change the terrain to dark. And as you can see, she gets the 500 attack boost from terrain. Which makes her one of the more broken characters, but her stats are nerfed, so that's unfortunate. Still, drawing her first is pretty darn strong here. And okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about one more aspect of the game, which is leveling. So I'm gonna rotate this camera, like so, and then just pass turn by pressing start. And why am I doing this? This is because in this game, ranking up leader requires that you have your characters be on the field for as long as possible. So the more turns your characters spend on the field, the more ranks these guys get. So if you look around for your deck for deck leaders that you actually want to level up, you keep doing this, you pass turn over and over. And eventually, your creatures, so Chakra will be leveling up, Cosmo Queen will be leveling up, and so will Kazejin and Kairyushin. And we're going to have these guys as potential deck leaders. And I'm just going to fast forward, and I'll be right back after I'm done fast forwarding through these. So if I do this, up until it goes down all the way to 0. We will win, but again, the rule set says that we can't actually wait until this goes to 0. Okay, we are back, and as you can see, we have about 5 turns left, and I'm doing this just for safety, and it's a question of what we want to level up here. I want to see if I could actually get Nekogao to level, so I'm going to have Nekogao attack this random spot. Petite Dragon is also another really cool creature. But as you can see, she's very scantily clad in comparison to the North American version, and off it goes. Goodbye. So we might have a Neko Gal deck. And let's look over at... Okay, so I'm going to move my deck leader away from the action. Move you over here. And move you here. And move you here. Okay. I've left the space here so for it to actually summon something. And I'm going to just go... let's do a Cosmo Queen attack. Yep. The Queen against a lowly worm. And look at the attack animation on this different field here. Yep, different fields have different animation and looks towards to them, so that's really cool. But we were not in any real danger fighting Deckmaster S, but at any moment you could just screw up, right? And if you didn't know, and you face up against the enemy with really high attack, there's sometimes not much you could actually do. Doesn't Cosmo Queen look a lot like the King of the Cosmos from Katamari? Don't you think? Yeah, okay. And now we could just bonk them with a Neko Gal. Which brings us to the end of this battle. Alright. With that, we've won. And hopefully, if I'm doing this correctly, we should have a bunch of promotions. Cosmo Queen, Kaze Jin, Neko Gal, Chakra, Kairyū Shin. And alright, we are now at the first opportunity to earn some new cards. And let's have a look. I'm going to actually slow this down for you guys to actually see. As you can see here, this is the Graveyard Slot Machine. The Graveyard Slot Machine is one of the first ways to attain new cards. And any cards in the opponent's graveyard will be randomly put into this so that we could actually win them in the reel. The most important ones that we want to get will be, if you look over here, Neko Gal, there she is. And then the horsey, where are you, horse? Yep, the horsefish is one of them. And maybe to a smaller extent, the WoW Warrior. These guys are all new, they're all fusions, so that's going to be important. Of lesser importance will be, I'm not sure if there are any beasts. Okay, I think the little beast over here, that little cat, will be more important to get. But also any fish will be fine. They're fine fusion ingredients, right? Okay, let's actually undo this wheel here. And let me just try to time it so that we just get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, okay, great. That's pretty lucky because usually reels have what's called slippage, and they could add a few more lines downwards and happen sometimes. And you can see by this little arrow, if we actually line up 3 Neko Gals, it will give us something in the rare slot as well. But that is going to be secondary to actually trying to get some other cards into here. We want some more beasts, so hopefully we'll get that. I think Miotoko's Miotoko's a fiend, but that's still pretty good, right? But I want more beasts. So I'm just looking through at where the cat is in this middle reel. The cat is right before the fish. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm doing all the right things. I'm not sure why I'm getting all these right things done. I'm not sure what I did to deserve this. And the last guy that I probably want is the horse. Half horse, half fish is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My goodness, I landed all the reels of all the cards that I needed. Okay, so we got 3 new cards. And that's the first method of card acquisition. And I actually demonstrated how to actually time for it as well. Wow. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the deck building option now. And we're just going to try to legalize the deck as the first thing. But yeah, we have 2 Fairy Witches, so we need to get rid of one, if not both. Neko Gal is now at 3-star Captain rank, which is a new card that we got. And it has increased strength for same tribe friendlies. Very, very good. Okay. So, despite her being very, very strong for what she does, right? We're going to actually add her. By the way, in the vanilla version of the game, she's not attainable at all. You can't get her in any shape or form. So Neko Gal is actually very, very, very rare. It'll show up as a fusion in the completionist deck, but never be able to attain it normally. Oh my! We're getting demonetized with this one, boys. But yeah, okay. So there's that, and then there's this little chimera that we want to add, and this little Tatsu logo, but we don't have a card that we want to. Well, we do have a card that we want to add. We want to add 1 Fairy Witch as well, but we want to try to add as many Neko Gal fusions as possible. Neko Gal is any beast or beast warrior with any female. And there's actually, and if you wonder how do we determine if a character is female by the game's definition, it needs to be able to equip a card, okay, called Cyber Shield. As long as Cyber Shield appears on the list, that they're female. Wait, or machines. Yeah, but Electro Whip and Cyber Shields are female. It says used to enhance females. Yeah. Okay, Electro Whip and Cyber Shields. So Cosmo Queen, it counts as female, but she's too strong already. But actually sort by creature type. There we go. So over here, Electro Whip, Cyber Shield. So Unhappy Maiden works as a female fusion. Who else? Beast Fangs, Claw Reacher. Nothing for the Morin Fen. Wing Egg Elf, no. Giant Scorpion of the Tundra is probably the first card to go. Doesn't work very well for our deck at all. And probably the Dinosaurs. And Kairu Shin is another really good deck leader. Yeah, he's so good. He's probably better as a card, though. Yep. Yeah, Water Girl also works, as you can see. Electro Whip and Cyber Shield. She also works as a fusion ingredient. Okay. And we could look through and see what cards we want to get rid of. Magical Labyrinth, Eternal Rest, Neutralizing Force Field. Eternal Rest is not as useful. Silver Bow and Arrow, Mesmeric Fiend. These odes aren't useful as of now. So actually, let's add this Horsey. And we could even add back, we could add a Fairy Witch as well. And by tossing away maybe the Puppet's Ritual. Yeah. and probably even as useless as you are, a creature is infinitely more useful than a spell that doesn't work. So we might want to get rid of the Fortress Whale's Oath here as well. Okay. And right there, our deck cost is 929. We can farm against the Ancient Brain a few more times as we so like, which is going to be something I'll have to do next time. And but yeah, I hope that you will join me in the next episode where I play some more of this game and see if we can actually get the randomizer up and running. I'm gonna fight Deckmaster twice more times off camera, and then I'm gonna build the deck as best as possible. And yeah, that's gonna be it for now. So let me just thank all my members. Thank you Apilux, Randomanta, Amisland, Chris Burton, as well as Barra Bowman for being members on YouTube. I want to thank Lord Jelinek and Janeems for being subscribers on Twitch, so you guys get to watch vids early, cool badges and emojis, or whenever you comment. And yeah, that's one of the few perks, as well getting turned to a Pokemon. If you want to support my channel that way, feel free to do so. But yep, like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more, click on the bell to get notified for when I go live, etc. And that's going to be it for this first episode. It's me, I'm Biggy, and I'll be back. See you guys in a bit. We'll continue on this episodic thing and guide / let's play next time.